video. And we're going to be discussing here my reaction and why I'm smiling. Because guess what? The GOAT, Alexander Volkanovski, the great Alexander Volkanovski, went out and did exactly what I kind of predicted in my video. And we're also going to go down. First of all, we're just going to go to the main card just because, one, the prelims and the early prelims, this was not a good card. All right, but I'm going to put out my full reaction video here for tomorrow. But today, I just wanted to go down over the main event and what Alexander Volkanovski was able to do to Diego Lopes. What BSD did to Dan Hooker, the absolute disrespect. What Mauricio Ruffy did to finish Fiziev, crazy sniper. All right. And it's that kid, dude, that kid has a promising future. The only fight that, honestly, that did let down the main card was, you could say the main event, Alex versus Lopez, was kind of boring. But I was definitely on the ropes the entire time because you could just never know what to expect with Diego Lopez, especially those barn burners when they both get in the pocket and just start swinging. You just don't know what to expect because I'm going to show the highlights when Lopez did drop Volk. Dude, I was going insane. But we're literally talking about Teixeira versus Tai Tuivasa. Look, everybody who knows me or understands, cut that division. Cut that division. It is so bad, the heavyweight division, that I don't know what to do. Like, how can you fix it, right? Like, starting off here, right? So what a performance. All right. He went out there and did exactly what he was supposed to do. Finish Jamie Malarkey in the first round by submission. The entire time, what I like about this kid, that he has the potential to be champion, right? He is overall a great fighter. He can wrestle, he can grapple, he can strike with you. He has power and dynamite. He is not afraid to really finish the fight. And he has this good chin. And you could just see that he could adapt to any circumstances, any danger that is being presented by him. I mean, this dude, Jamie, looked like he does not belong there, and he did it. All right, Jamie is in the tail end of his career, and he has to really start considering other options because obviously you're not going to crack the top 15 nor beat any of the top 20 fighters. And Killian he's young, right? He has so much time left. All right, for me, the next fight for him should be someone still unranked, but someone tough like a Grant Dawson. Or even a Bobby Green, right? Or Drew Dober. You know, someone who is a veteran, been there, done that, fought the who's who. So you can start to see, one, it is the nature of the game. They're going to give you vets so you can build off a name off of that. And that's fine. Look, I'm not trying to say there's anything wrong, but you got to continue what's been shown. Killian did a phenomenal job. Love this fight. This fight, my God. What? Heavyweight division is in shambles. All right, I'm not going to disrespect here, but Tom Aspinall really isn't a champion. Like, this division really is a joke. These are two ranked fighters. All right, and this is not a jab towards Tom. It's not a jab towards Cyril. But honestly, this is pretty much almost like a jab on John Jones because John Jones became a champion during this era heavaveights. When the entire time he had an era where he could have really challenged himself against like the Dos Santos versus the Kane versus Mauricio Verdum and prime Stipe Miocic, right? Like, or a Francis Ngannou. But these are the fighters that we have nowadays. This is truly one of the worst fights I've ever seen from elite fights. Tai should not be nowhere near the MMA world anymore. He is in a 6-fight losing streak. He needs to start learning how to start selling houses, start doing real estate, start making commercials, be an actor. I don't know what he has to do in his career now, but MMA is just not cutting it. You are a top 15 in the world who can't stop a takedown. You gas out after the first round. Your entire persona is like you can't get knocked out. You're getting hits. You're not moving your head. You're trying to pull out. You have a chin. And then Teixeira just gets you to the ground and then you're done. You're like a turtle who literally is on a shell. You can't get up. All right. And Teixeira, you're a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but can't even finish him while you have a full mount position. Like, come on. Who are you training with? This is the problem with Jiu-Jitsu where it's like, stop training with the gi. Stop it. All right. It doesn't help you in MMA. Focus on the no gi, but stop with this gi shit. All right. This goes out for the Brazilians with BJJ black belt. Obviously, you're getting sub, or you're not even finding finishes, and you're a black belt. It is hard, the credentials to get there. A lot of training and stuff. But that's a whole different sport. If you're going to be an MMA, you got to quit that. You got to work on your wrestling. You got to find a better position to finish these fighters, because Tai doesn't have any defense, doesn't have any grappling. All right? He has no credentials, and you couldn't finish him on the ground while you immediately shot and took him down. Like, this was supposed to be your moment, Teixeira, to really just capitalize on a dude who's on a 5-fight losing streak, and you could not finish him. This is the state of the heavyweights. Look, there's a photo of these guys literally just standing there with their hands on their hips. Where is it? There's a crazy photo where these guys are literally on just holding each other. Man, there has to be a photo of it. I swear. I should have kind of propped that up already. But look at this. Only reason Tommy loses is that it's being a fat drunk. It's been 4 years that two of us last won a fight. Right here. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Tuivasa lost that fight because he's overweight and unfit. Couldn't go out and finish. The moment he had this dude literally in trouble, couldn't finish this man. I mean, like, this was literally one of the worst fights ever. Even MMA Guru, like, yeah, dude, just abolish this weight class. It's so horrible. This time he was trying to finish the fight, but then ends up clinching, and dude, I just can't. I can't. This is literally one of, and he's on a 6-fight losing streak. I can't be bothered. Look at this, man. Look at this. Lost by Sergey by KO, Sergey by KO, submission, split decision, and now by pretty much by decision as well, man. What an awful fight. Awful fight. This is just a horrible representation of the heavyweight. Cut the division. I'm done. I don't want to see it anymore. No one wants to see it. It's like, I'd rather have a women's MMA in the main card instead of heavyweights. All right, at least women's are a lot more exciting. There's a little more popping moments. They have more energy. They're not going to be tired. They're professionals. All right, you're not going to see a lot of barn burners. But, dude, heavyweight cut. I'm done. Let's move on. Tuivasa, goodbye. Time to learn Chinese, buddy. You're done. Out. This fight right here. Holy. What a fight. What a fight. First of all, I'm going to give my respect to Rafael Fiziev. He always brings in the heat. But I'm sorry to say this, mate. Your height is going to become a huge disadvantage. You are bulky. You are big. But it's time to start looking at 145, man. Because, look, you're a strong lightweight. You're a good top 15 prospect. All right? A good fight for you will be against Michael Chandler. But guess what? They're not going to give you Michael Chandler because that's an easy win. And then guess what? Are you going to go back and lose? You lost against Justin Gaethje. You lost against Gamrot. Now you lost against Ruffy. All right. Your best win was when you were back home. Was a guy that wasn't even in the top 15. All right. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I just don't think that you're a phenomenal gatekeeper. And I don't like to call you that. But you saw how outclassed you were. Ruffy found a beautiful shot. He was eating you up with that jab. And then when that cross hit, Ruffy was just too big, long limbs, kept you at bay. Fizzy did a phenomenal job with the body kicks and the leg kicks. And every time you're trying to go in, like, he would catch Ruffy, but his power didn't translate well. He never had Ruffy in a trouble position. And Ruffy was just a sniper, just waiting for that shot to come in, and he finds it. Look, a prime Ruffy versus prime Connor would have been an insane chess match. It would have been boring because there's going to be a lot of moments that they weren't going to be engaging because they're just trying to find that shot. Ruffy is a modern day Connor, obviously without the aura. He is a lot taller and bigger. So, but phenomenal performance by Ruffy. Look at this knockout. This knockout was insane. Right here, man. Right here. Boom. 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 I mean, like, he set up with the body kick. Not body kick. With the body jab. Feinted. But then he falls with the right. Then a right hook. And then just starts mauling, man. If Aziz just doing his best to survive. And it was nothing until he finally ended up getting in the side of the corner and just started getting beat on. Ruffy did just, gosh, man. What a... I loved it. I loved it. He did outclass Fizzy. Dan Hooker versus Benoit Saint Denis. Another fight called out. I did pretty good in the main card. I'm not gonna lie. I went 4-5. I went for Tuivasa because I thought he was gonna bring up because that's home. I was wrong. But I was happy for Benoit Saint Denis because I like Benoit Saint Denis. I'm very biased for this dude because I like the way he's come up where he's from. He's insane, crazy dude. This was the fight of the psychopaths, literally. And we saw that Benoit Saint Denis is just on another level. As much as Dan Hooker is crazy, and Izzy would tell him he is a psychopath stuff, there's a difference when you've... Let's just be honest here. BSD has probably unalived someone before. Now, I'm not just saying someone. I'm saying like people, like plural. This dude is, you could tell in his eyes, he has seen the worst of the worst. He was in those special forces. It was a counterterrorism, worked in those special forces for France, right? He has been training all his life. He is battle readied. Benoit Saint Denis is probably one of mentally strongest guys in the UFC right now because of all the training he has been through. And the one thing I do like about him is that I might be the few of this, but I generally think he can be champion. He is able to adapt to the fighting. Like, he was losing on the feet, on the striking, but he was able to like get Dan Hooker to the ground. Dan Hooker was making very poor choices trying to take him down, knowing that Benoit Saint Denis is a tougher, better grappler. And the one thing I like about Benoit Saint Denis is like, hey, technical battle, I'm not winning this. I got to make this dirty. And this is something that a lot of fighters don't do. If you're losing a technical battle, prime example, Jiri Prochazka versus Khalil Rountree, what did Jiri have to do? Khalil obviously was going to always beat him in a technical fight. If they would just do a straight up Muay Thai fight, Khalil will always beat Jiri on the foundations, on the basics, is able to control the pace. Jiri saying like he was controlling the fight. No, Khalil was controlling the first 2 rounds. You lost those first 2 rounds, but Jiri was able to adjust and adapt. That's why Jiri is champion, or was champion. But Benoit Saint Denis did the exact same thing. He made it dirty. He came on Dan Hooker aggressive, started swinging. Sometimes that's your only option when your other fighter is just technically better than you. He's outstriking you. You got to make it dirty to catch him off guard so they're able to hopefully shoot for a takedown or get him to the ground with any trips. or hip throws, whatever you need to do. Remember, Benoit Saint Denis is a judo background, so a lot of his throws was just perfectly set up for this match. So, but he did a phenomenal job. This is a good win on his resume. He's on a 4-fight win streak after being on a 2-fight losing streak against Dustin Poirier, against Renato Moicano. And Renato only beat him because Renato is the better grappler. But I really wonder what would happen in the rematch. All right. Benoit knocked out Daniel Barrios. That dude is like, he's a tough fighter. Top 5 for sure. But obviously he is lost against Charles and lost against Armin. And now Benoit Saint Denis. Dan Hooker obviously got finished by Armin. But he never got finished like this. No. I mean, like, Dan Hooker. The only thing I would say is this, though. Herb Dean let this fight go on too long. Some of these punches, I mean, you could literally say, like, this was an assault. It was brutal. It was very brutal. I mean, oh, that's a word in there. There should be a video of him finishing Hooker. This, right? Like, come on. Elbows, punches. Like, literally, I'm sorry to say this, but that is how many times? For 20 seconds, there were unanswered moments where I was like, dude, Herb Dean needs to call this fight already. Yeah, like, I like Herb Dean, phenomenal referee, but that was a poor call, very poor call. He let Dan Hooker get too much unnecessary damage, and I was not a fan of that. You see, like, Dan Hooker isn't responding. He isn't moving. He's just cradled up, and he's not trying to shoot out. He's not trying to roll over. He's literally just cradled up. You see those punches breaking through his guard. Unnecessary damage, but Benoit just outclassed Hooker. I mean, look at this. There's a moment that he could have thrown a triangle, but still. And Dan Hooker did a really good job defending that arm triangle from the last time when Armin choked him. But Armin has to be so strong to be able to get that. And Benoit was not able to fulfill that one. But moving on to the fight of the night. Don't agree with it. But there wasn't any other fight to. Look, this card was kind of boring. I'm not going to lie. This card wasn't super exciting. There was like at least like 3 fights, like there's finishes, right, beside like the Volk, Lopes, and Teixeira and Tuivasa. Look, this shows again why I did not want to see this rematch. It was very unnecessary. Diego Lopes, and as I said this from my last video, he did not make those necessary adjustments when I saw him fight against John Silva. He got better when Alexander was circling to the right and Volk would just, circle to the other way. And Lopes just looked like he was lost. He didn't know how to cut off the angle. He wasn't going in to win the title. It literally looked like he froze up. He did a better performance the first fight than this one. This one, he looked like he took more precautions. I even called in the first round where it just seemed like Diego Lopes was a lot more. Maybe he didn't want to guess out too quick. Maybe he was hoping to find that punch. But Alexander's too elusive. He's too quick. Obviously, Volk was never going to knock him out. He doesn't have that crazy power. And Lopes is just... He's a great top 5 fighter. But he's just not going to be a champion. He doesn't carry himself like a champion. He did not make the necessary adjustment. This was your second time go around. Volk didn't fight in between. You had a fight against Jin Silva, which you're losing that fight on the second round. You won the first round pretty dominantly, but you caught him. And that was because Silva was rushing in and you're able to throw that elbow. You did a good job against Silva. But you didn't make the adjustments on fighting against Volkanovski. All right, Volk did a phenomenal job repeating the exact same thing in the first one. I thought he even dominated him more. I don't know where these people coming in like this is a 3-2. I gave Volk literally 4-1. 5-0. While I was watching it live, obviously I'm very biased with Volk because I really like this dude. I used to like Max Holloway, and then Volk just, he earned people respect because of his performance, because of his attitude, because of the people he has fought. He doesn't back down from a challenge. This is why he is one of the greatest fighters of all time. This dude's about to be 38 this year, and he's still doing it with guys younger than him, the next generation. He beat the previous generation. He is the best in his current generation, and now he's beating the future generation, right? Like, this is the GOAT in the featherweight. This is one of the GOATs of all time, top 5, right? And this performance just proved like they shouldn't have never made this. This didn't add anything to Volk's legacy. It adds another defense on his second reign, which is a good thing. But only time will tell. Will Lopes still be in top 5 or not? Does he go on a losing streak? Whatever. Like, I don't know. Obviously, what we know is what's next for Volk is he's going to have to fight against Murphy or Evolov. The winner between that fight, I think it was rumored they're going to fight in England. Personally, I'd like to see Volk fight against Evolov. And the only reason I say that, Movsar, is because Movsar's been number 1 for a long time. He is undefeated. He's a tough prospect. And the only reason why is because Movsar did beat Aljamain. He beat Diego Lopes, right? Diego Lopes, who fought the title twice, and Movsar beat a former bantamweight champion, one of the best bantamweights we've seen, against Aljamain Sterling. Like, that is a big name on his resume, and that's something not to look over. Murphy did a phenomenal job, but the only thing that's holding back Murphy for me, at least saying, like, because he also deserves it, undefeated, right? Young, he's a high prospect, will give Volk that trouble. It's just that Murphy, one, beat Aaron Pico, who was not in the top in the rankings, came from Bellator, who he wasn't even a champion at Bellator. So it wasn't like Murphy beat a top prospect, former champion, top 5, top 10. No, he beat a guy who, unfortunately, I'm not going to lie to you, I just don't think Aaron Pico's going to stay in the UFC that long either. I think he's going to lose his next fight and then get cut like what happened to Patchy Mix. So for me, it's like, for legacy-wise, if Volk beats Movsar, that's a big win in his resume, right? That's an elite top rightfully number 1 contender. If he beats Murphy, same thing. Top fighter, undefeated, future generation. But Murphy is a little bit on the older side. If I'm not wrong, Murphy is... Murphy. Yeah, he's 34. All right. And Movsar, he's 31. So look, I'm not playing here. Murphy is older side. All right, he's closer to age to Volk. So Murphy understand that he's not going to be here for a long time. All right, he's 34. He got probably, 1 or 2 more years in the tank in his prime. And Volk is just the real reason Volk is able to consistently beat us, because prime Volk beats a prime Murphy every single time. But this isn't a prime Volk. All right, this is a past prime Volk. And if Volk is able to beat Movsar or Murphy, it's just, But personally, I thought Volk should have retired tonight. He was at his country, at Sydney. Not Perth, but at Sydney. And he did what he needed to do. But we'll see. It was moving on. Personally, I give this card a 5, a 4 out of 10. It wasn't that good. Last weekend was just amazing, a barn burner fight. So it's just very hard to top that fight, especially with how the prelims, the last fight, like all the prelims and all the early fights were just phenomenal finishes. This fight card, there were hardly any finishes. There were 2 back-to-back rear naked chokes that was really good and high performances. But just the main event did not carry as much. And we kind of expected it, right? Volk was just going to do the exact same thing we did, and Lopes wasn't going to make any upward adjustment. Lopes has been fighting for so long. He already has his style, and you're not going to teach an old dog new tricks. But that is my recap for this fight. I loved it. I love seeing Volk doing what he does. And I will see you on the next one for this fight night. And for anything that's coming up this week, I'll be uploading any news as well as my fight predictions. I don't think I'm going to go in depth with the rest of this card just because it's just very unnecessary. But yeah, I'll see y'all later. Have a safe week and thank you for watching.